Our second recipient tonight, is the distinguished young alumnus, Sujit Raman from the class of 1996. Sujit currently serves as an Associate Deputy Attorney General in the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. In this role, he assists the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General in their oversight of the nation's cyber-related criminal and national security investigations and prosecutions. He also helps oversee the Justice Department's cyber-related policy development, and he represents the department on cyber matters before the National Security Council at the White House. Before joining the Department of Justice as senior leadership staff, he served for over 8 years as a federal prosecutor. In this role, he gained extensive courtroom experience and led a number of international fraud, public corruption, and national security matters. He also developed expertise in handling legal issues dealing with the implications of technology on criminal and national security investigations, and served as the government's counsel of record for several leading electronic evidence and digital privacy cases in the U.S. Court of Appeals. During his years at Kinkaid, Sujit served as co-editor of the Falcon newspaper, captained the Prep Bowl squad, was at the top of his class scholastically, and played on a number of sports teams as well as in the school band. Upon graduation, he was recognized with the W.W. Kinkaid Award as the most representative boy. He then attended Harvard College, where he captained the national champion varsity rowing team. Sujit later graduated from Harvard Law School and studied at the University of Bristol as a Marshall Scholar. Sujit's sister, Dr. Lavanya Raman Pandit, graduated from Kinkaid in 1992, and his niece, Sanjana, and nephew, Suraj Pandit, are current students here in the 6th and 9th grade. Sujit lives in Washington, D.C. with his wife and 2 children. And now let's please enjoy a short video about Sujit's life at Kinkaid and beyond.
I would say he's a blessing. And he's a perfect child any mom and dad can dream of. I'm just not saying it because it's my son, but he was a special child right from the beginning.
He's just outstanding. He was recognized as that, the kind of person that he was. I mean, I was not at all surprised that he was chosen. In fact, I was absolutely delighted that he was chosen because he really fits the mold.
I think he would say I'm bossy. I would say that I am a helpful role model. And certainly as our childhood progressed, I was always in that role of being a role model, being 4 years older than him. As we transitioned to adulthood, though, those places switched, and he became more my role model as a human being.
Of course, he was a history person from the get-go. It was no surprise to me. He was brilliant. How many 16-year-olds would choose as their topic for a research paper an examination of the free silver versus gold standard controversy of the 1890s? I could not believe it. Not only did he do it, but he scored the highest grade on the research paper that year, among all of his fellow students.
He liked to learn things in depth, not just superficially, particularly when it came to English and history. But even science, he always wanted to learn things in detail. And I think that's what made him not only an exceptional student, but a wonderful student of the world.
At Kinkaid, it's small enough to where you bump into them all the time in the hall, or you watch them, in sports, or listen to them in the band or whatever. So I was familiar with him in many other areas as well.
So Sujit went to college, full of excitement and vigor and kind of not knowing what to expect.
I never would have predicted him excelling at captaining a rowing team at Harvard.
He made the team, and first time is so funny. He went to the water and he broke the boat. We still have a piece of that as a memento, souvenir.
While he was doing all this other stuff, he might have been practicing down there in the bayou, for that. I wouldn't put it past him.
I've had the privilege of working with Sujit for the entirety of his career in public service, more than 9 years now. First, when he served as an assistant U.S. attorney, as a federal prosecutor in the District of Maryland. And over the past year, during his service as an associate deputy attorney general here at the Department of Justice in Washington.
He's always he has been compassionate.
Yeah.
And the job he does, I think it's not just for the prestige. He thinks he's giving back something back to the country.
Sujit is a superb lawyer and an exceptional public servant. He joined us with experience in the private sector for several years as a lawyer with a large law firm, and prior to that, a distinguished academic career at Harvard College and Harvard Law School, and as a Marshall Scholar. But I know it all started there at the Kinkaid School in Texas.
It doesn't surprise me that he's in the type of general position that he is in now. Cybersecurity, it's cutting edge kind of stuff, and it would appeal to him, and he would certainly be able to handle it.
I think Sujit has been really successful professionally because he's extremely organized, and research skills and writing skills that he developed here at Kinkaid have definitely played a role. His work ethic, which was again developed at a very young age. He's always enjoyed looking in depth into issues stemming from, AP history class to getting into the nitty-gritty of the law. And I think that's why he's exceptionally good at what he does.
I think he has taken that role as as a continuation of being an obedient son and a loving son. He's a loving husband and a loving father, and he loves his two little boys. He brought the boys brought that side of him that we had never seen before, because he was the youngest child in our family, so he has only been a baby in our family, but now he's a dad.
He's a wonderfully involved and stimulating father with his kids. I think he's also a fantastic uncle to my kids. They're extremely proud of him. He's a great role model to them. And he's funny and approachable. They don't think of him as, a big government entity. They think of him as their uncle who they can make jokes with. And they love hearing stories about him when he was younger.
Anything you have in this world based on what it is built on. So the fundamentals of anybody is the first few years, I believe, maybe the schooling makes the whole difference in your life. So he owes, I would say, everything to Kinkaid for making a good man, a good person out of him.
Thank you for teaching Sujit the values that set him off on such a superb path. And congratulations to Sujit on this accomplishment, one of what I know will be many more to follow in the future.
Sujit, thanks so much for the honor of inviting me to do this. It is a real privilege and a real honor. And congratulations. You deserve it.
Congratulations, Sujit. We love you. We are so proud of you.
Same thing, Sujit. We are so proud of you. May God bless you with everything good in life. And be a good man and be good to others. Thank you.
Hey, Sujit, big sister, proud as you as always, and look forward to hearing more about all the great things you're going to do for your country and your family. Love you.
Sujit, would you please come to the podium so we can congratulate you on being named Kinkaid's 2018 Distinguished Young Alumnus.
Well, thank you very much. This is a tremendous honor. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you to the Alumni Board for this honor. It's especially special for me to be here tonight with all the other folks here on stage. I should say that this morning was the first time I had been back at Kinkaid for over 20 years. And the last time I was here, it cost my parents a small fortune. Maybe that's why they were so reluctant to actually join me here tonight. But I should begin with my parents, because their story is a remarkable one. Like many other immigrants, they arrived in this country with almost nothing in the way of physical possessions or material wealth, or even social networks. But they believed in this country, and they respected its laws, and they cherished the values that America stands for. Above everything else, they believed in the value of education. And so at a time, and this is the mid-1980s, when not many people who looked like them were thinking about the opportunities that a place like Kinkaid could offer their children, my parents made that sacrifice. We used to live in Spring, Texas, about 30 miles away from here. And every day, my mom would drive for an hour to bring me and my sister here to school, leaving at 6 in the morning to ensure that we had the best educational opportunities available to us. That example and that sacrifice and that commitment to doing what was best for us is something that I can't even begin to describe, let alone to repay. So if you all will indulge me for a moment, I hope you'll join me in acknowledging my parents, who are right here, and all of the family members. I've been thinking a lot about my time at Kinkaid. Certainly the faculty here trained me so that no academic challenge would ever be too great, except college-level calculus. But that's a topic for least distinguished alumnus day. But more than just the academic experience, this school taught me the importance of thinking about the world beyond just myself. I think it's that lesson and the examples my teachers here set that pushed me in the direction of a career in public service. A prosecutor's job isn't just about putting people in jail. It's about achieving justice in a world that is hardly perfect and contains many, many imperfect human beings. When a prosecutor has a righteous case, he owes a duty to the community, to all of us, to pursue that case vigorously and courageously. But when you're confronted every day by crime, some of it petty, some of it truly depraved, judgment is critical. Prosecutors often wield unreviewable power, so it has to be exercised wisely and with humility. As Robert Jackson, one of our nation's great attorneys general, once observed, while the prosecutor at his best is one of the most beneficent forces in our society, when he acts from malice or other base motives, he is one of the worst. At Kinkaid, I learned the values that I hope have made me an effective public servant. Of course, I learned right from wrong, but I also learned how to think. And I learned the importance of humility and the need to be persistent if I ever wanted to achieve my goals. Probably most important is what I learned in Mr. Gurman's history class, that America was founded on the principle that government exists to promote justice and serve the people. There are still many places in the world where government is the enemy of justice. Those are places where it's us against them, and the government is them. In America, the government is us, and those of us entrusted with the privilege of serving in government should never forget that. My boss, the Deputy Attorney General, likes to say that the rule of law is more than just words on paper. It's the product of the character of the people who are responsible for executing and enforcing the law. If I'm able in any small way to uphold that ideal, I owe it to this school and to what I learned here during the most impressionable years of my life. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for my son for cheering me on. Thank you for making everything possible. I really appreciate it.